So this is a 1989 Jeep Comanche Pioneer Edition. It's four-wheel drive. It's standard old 4-liter. So I've pretty much not done anything with this right now. Couple things. I replaced the windows, both the quarter windows and the roll-down windows on either side. Old ones were scratched. The weather stripping was worn on the quarter windows. They're not the ones that open, unfortunately. I do have those ones here somewhere. I have a bunch of, yeah, there they are at the bottom. But they're a little bit too rusty to kind of work on getting in there right now. I'm going to have to kind of refurbish them, so hopefully I'll be able to do that in the future. Couple things that I did do, that I took the transmission out. So there's the old clutch plate, flywheel, everything good like that. I have some issues, so I'd push in the clutch, hold it in for a little bit too long, and then it'd start to shudder when it was in gear, right? So I'm thinking clutch issue. Somebody said throw out bearing issue, so I got to throw out bearing. The axles, and so that's a Dana 30 front axle, Chrysler 8 1/4 rear, as well as the transfer case and transmission out of a 98 Cherokee. So this is the AX15. Because of all this oil, if maybe there was some kind of oil leak and causing the clutch to slip, and it's a 231 transfer case. That gasket looks pretty new, so maybe this was an old issue that's been fixed. It still looks kind of greasy though, so I'm thinking maybe it could be one of these fittings here. Probably this one. This one looks the most greasy. That if it is leaking on there, could be that. Unless there's something else back there that I don't know of. That's likely. I'm going to be replacing the oil filter adapter O-ring set. There's 2 or 3 of them, as well as the old rear main seal and oil pan gasket. I do have a new oil pump for it, so that will go on there as well. Oh gee, that looks like a new oil pan gasket actually as well. I'm just noticing that. Either way, I know it's leaking like crazy. I mean, look at... I had to put a gallon of oil in this between oil changes. So, it's definitely leaking at the rear main seal. That's for sure. I replaced the front axle lube. Going to do the rear as well, and I'll show you guys that. I'm not planning to make this a how-to. By the way, since I pulled the transmission out, I pulled the engine forward, so it's that's why it's kind of leaned like that. And the front axle, because it has the cross member, it's attached to the cross member, because this is a should be it's IRO. There you can see it. So it's an Iron Rock off-road 3-link suspension kit that the previous owner put on, and I think it's probably I don't know if it's an Iron Rock a 5-inch lift, but it's probably just a rough country lift. But it doesn't. I don't see anything on these shocks, but they're kind of rusty, so it's probably just a rough country lift, but could be an Iron Rock lift as well. So that's going to be fun to find out. But you know what? This actually rides really nice. When I drove it, because I drove it from Alberta and back to Ontario, it drove beautifully, man. Like, perfect steering. It was nice, light steering. The steering wheel was perfectly centered. Suspension was nice and cushy. Hardly felt any bumps. Now, I do have a leaking shock back there somewhere. Probably gonna ignore that for now. But yeah, this really isn't planning to be a how-to series, because I'm not the end-all be-all expert of stuff like this, mechanics. I mean, I know quite a few things, but this is going to be, like, there's plenty of videos out there already on how-tos, right? So this is going to be just kind of a fun come along and wrench with me series. I did have a mouse in here before. A couple little of them pipsqueaks. I'm gonna have to look at the cooling system as well, just to make sure everything's hunky-dory there. And if anybody knows anything about them as well, I have so you'll be idling, and then it'll kind of drop down and chug, and then it'll come back up to normal idle. Apparently that's kind of an issue with the Renix era Jeeps. So if anybody can kind of explain to me what's going on there. Somebody somewhere said something about an exhaust leak causing that. I don't know. But a couple things here that will need to get replaced eventually, or at least fixed. Probably just fix that and then replace these. These are like $10 a pair on Rock Auto. But yeah, it's still on there. Well, sort of. I don't know if these are the original AMC ones or not, but I know these ones, you can see made in USA. And somewhere over here, where is it here? Maybe this is the replacement. Oh, here it is. AMC. So that's pretty cool. Those are the original signal lenses, and they're glass, I think. Oh no, they're plastic, never mind. Kind of cool, the original Philips is glass though, but I'm contemplating changing these out, because the LEDs do look better. However, I'm kind of torn, because the old ones, like, it's classic and everything, but I find if you're alone at night on the highway or something like that, it's nice and dark, the original incandescent bulbs, they're dim enough so that your eyes actually adjust better to the darkness and you can see farther. Maybe that's just my eyes, but I kind of noticed that because I was driving a really old truck with a company recently, and it was night shift, so that's something I kind of noticed, and I thought, But then, of course, you get somebody with LED bulbs coming your way, and kind of ruins your eyes, so that's probably going to have to get replaced to the LEDs just for that reason anyway. The blue interior, blue Pioneer interior, door pockets. It came with these chrome pieces, but not these chrome pieces, but I have these chrome pieces. I talked to Cody, so I got plenty of parts and replacement parts. I believe this is the one from the driver's side, the louver. It was kind of like pulled up, so you can see like some of the clips and tabs were like broken off. Well, at least at the top here anyway, so they tried to glue it, but I got a replacement. Doesn't have AC, but I do have the original radio to go back in there. I think I'd like to probably put that back in, or have somebody do it. I'm actually not too happy with the job that I did on this headliner, but it'll do for now until I can get somebody professional to do it. Also, as I'm walking around here, you notice something that's missing? No? You notice anything? Yeah. Let's just say the previous owner of this truck, I'm sure he'd be a fun time. He knows how to party, I think. So here's another thing that I upgraded. I upgraded the window seals to the newer style. It kind of pops out here, but you know what? It seals better than the old one, even still. So I'm happy with this, because the old one, you can see here, kind of, it was scratching the window going up and down, right? So I put these in here because the old ones have those clips and they scratch the window if it's not if it's not set perfectly. So there's this side here. I got the thing to go back in here, the little vent louver as well. I'm gonna have to look at these interior lights as well. There are sort of replacements. They're not made in France. Wow. They're not exactly like this, but they do look pretty much the same, and I believe they fit right in as well. So, but yeah, here's the floor. So, previous owner actually did. Well, I don't know, maybe not the guy I bought it from, but they were patched, but it was just rivets, and I don't like that because then water can come in, and I want to put a carpet back in this. I bought it without a carpet. So just like I did with my XJ, I'm going to be, and I've got another Comanche that's even worse than this. I got a panel. You get a panel of good 16 gauge steel. I've got to clean this, of course, but the 16 gauge, you want to get nice thick steel, something that it's not something that you can still bend, but that's gonna prevent it from rusting out for a while, because they don't rust from the outside in, they rust from the inside out. And just to kind of prove that, here's the frame. You know, everything looks pretty good. Looks like a output shaft on the transfer case, but I got a replacement seal for that. Really, this is all just dirt. Like, look at how clean that is for a Canadian Jeep, right? You know, a little surface rust here and there. There is some on the fuel tank here. I'll get some fluid film on that. Doesn't look like it's leaking, but like the axles are rustier, and they're probably from some other Jeep, right? I mean, like some other condition from the whatever condition the other Jeep was in. So even those leaf springs, I bet you those are different. So that's that. Look at that little tire on there. I'm gonna take that off. I don't think that's gonna help me at all. So we'll see if that comes off. But yeah, that's Alberta Jeeps for you, man. Like they don't use the salt the same out there. They use mostly sand, and they just kind of build the ice up on the road. So the vehicles really, especially, it's mostly southern Alberta, but that's where the people are anyway. So this was originally from Lethbridge, bought from a dealer there back in 1989 or 90 when this was sold. Here it is in On Terrible. So yeah, we're going to be fixing this up and kind of showing you guys things here and there that maybe you didn't know, but probably just joking around along the way, because I'm no expert on this stuff. I'm no Vice Grip Garage, okay? But yeah, I got a lot of plans for this truck. Probably just trying to get it on the road first. We're going to ignore a lot of things, get ourselves put in danger. However, get it on the road. That way I can drive it and go get some upgrades along the way. So I got a few things cleaned up on here a little bit. Finally can find the serial number. I'm going to let this dry. I was just using carb cleaner and brake cleaner, a little bit of Pour 15. It's not too bad. It's not as bad as their Pour 15 paint, but on this, and it did a decent job. You know, the carb cleaner worked the best, obviously. Let it dry, and then get in there with a Dremel. And Dremel and a wire wheel on it, or a wire brush. I probably don't really need to go that far. I know it's just going to get dirty again, but at least then it'll be clean, it'll look nice, and hopefully then we can check to see where the true oil stains will be once it starts leaking oil again, inevitably. So hopefully this, yeah, that's leaking out of there. That's not a big deal. So, yeah, hopefully this doesn't leak oil as well as the engine. Decided, might as well try and just take the whole thing off, and that way I can maybe clean it a little bit better. Don't forget to write what it's for. Yeah, I can't even read that myself. How about we just put bell housing in there. How about that? Do that before the old ADHD kicks in. Let's see, do I have a little hammer? There we go. Alright, now I gotta take this over to the neighbors because I sold them my parts washer. I gotta use it now. There we go, that's a little bit better, eh? Still a little bit in there, but I can probably... maybe I'll give that a quick rinse, but I can probably get it with the grinder. Or the not the grinder, what do you call that thing? Dremel. Yeah. Boy, these fumes are getting to me. There we go. Alright. Not a perfect job. Couldn't really get the brushes down deep in there, but good enough for, I'd say, government work or the girls we date, but those are two things we can't criticize in society these days. Oh geez, look at that, I missed some gravel. Oh well, don't really care. It's just a matter of being able to figure out now where the new leaks will be. So hopefully I didn't get any of that stuff in the transmission. I tried to kind of aim this downward while I was spraying it, but probably did swell these up a little bit, but I've done that many times before and I've never had an issue, so we'll see how this one goes. I don't know if this is the original or if this is like been rebuilt and this is a different type of silicone. So if anybody knows something about that, use some butyl tape. Actually, this worked really well for doing those mineral spirits, but a little bit more to clean out. I think that's just a drain hole there. So I don't think I got any in actually at all. So that's gonna be good. Yeah, that was a huge waste of time, kind of. Well, at least this stays out of the mineral bath. It's the neighbor's mineral bath now, so what do I care anyway? I've gone and wasted 3 bottles of cleaner. Oh well. No, this is gonna have to get cleaned out. Look at that sludge, eh? Next thing, axle oil. Alright, time to do the diff. So I already did the front one. So this is the rear Chrysler 8 1/4 on my MJ. Got me some of this stuff here. This stuff doesn't work so great, but sure is cheap. This is what we're going to be using here as well. And then what you want to do, get you a pry bar, jam it up in there, working up the old angina. Come on. Oh boy, look at that rust. Don't want that going into my diesel tank. Oh yeah. Oh boy, that looks brand new. Yeah, that actually looks brand new. That's kind of crazy. If I'd have known it was looking this good, I would have just left it in. Oh my goodness, look at that. There's 0 miles on it. Well, I probably could have just friggin' put my finger in there, in that hole, figured it out. But I know when I did the front one, it was, the reason you got the brake cleaner is because there's a lot of metal particles that are in there that the previous guy didn't spray out, right? So we're going to be spraying that out. Oh, God, I love that stink of gear oil. This actually might have maybe 15,000 kilometers on it, which is like, what, 11,000 miles or something? There we go. Yeah, see? That's what I'm talking about. There's that oh, there's a magnet. Oof. Well, that's 2030 vision now, not 2015. -1 brain cell. -2. -3. -4. All right. Whew. Between the gear oil and the brake clean, that'll get you seeing unicorns. Get you a drill and a crusty old wire wheel. The crustier and rustier the better, especially if it's got a lot of grease on it that you just cleaned off of a transmission. Because you're going to want to get all of that in here when you clean off these mating surfaces. So we got most of this pretty much cleaned out. So we have not 1, 2, but we have 3 neodymium magnets. So they were pretty chock full, but they obviously were doing their job. So you can see they're kind of worn down a little bit, eh? But I bet you that Cherokee he pulled this out of had a few miles to it. I don't know if this has ever been changed, but so we're gonna put one of these back down in here. Now we're gonna take. So I found if you do it like outside towards, don't try to actually put the junk in there. See? Boy, does that ever quicken the job. Got this all cleansed as well of any detritus and filth. Well, now, most of it, maybe not all of it, but we'll take this quick. There we go. Yeah, there we go. And painted it red. Why? So that when people look at it, they'll think this is a modified vehicle. Little do they know, it's a high mileage stock one. So what I like to do with this is get her going on here, just a thin little bead, nothing crazy. Probably want to go on the inside. Of these holes. I don't know. Link it up. Wipe off any excess. Now I like to smear it. Just get her on there. Try and go as thick as you can with the smear. But the idea with the smear is to get it on there in a nice wide pattern. What am I talking about? This isn't a how-to video. I should not be showing anybody how to do anything. Not when this comes to Jeeps. Maybe Aprilia is, but and even then, a very small market of that. There's plenty of how-to videos out there on this stuff. Alright, now you can clean off your glove so that your nice, fancy, expensive glove is reusable. Now, alright, time. I'm gonna get one bolt here. There's the one at the top that goes like that, but the problem with that one, yes, they want, okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the one at the bottom, or no, I'll do the two at the top first. So make sure your surface is nice and clean and dry. I like to put my finger through this hole, kind of hold it, hold it. Get her on there relatively straight. Now you can press her on there. Don't worry about moving her around just a tad. Apparently this gasket maker requires you to wait 24 hours until it cures to then torque the material or the plate, which is fine. We're gonna do that because we're doing it right over on Four Doors Production House. Sort of. We try. We don't always get there. But with this stuff, if you mess it up, another axle, rings and pinions and everything, maybe 200 bucks, 300 bucks. I don't know. I got another one sitting over in the yard, so I got a spare transmission, got 2 or 3 spare transfer cases. You know, buy yourself a parts Jeep or something. Getting all that old sealant off just makes me feel better about myself anyway. Now, how nice does that red look, eh? Good old Honda Racing red. Probably do it in a bit of a star pattern, probably is a good idea. If I was a thinking man. Oh, don't scratch my brand new red paint. There we go. And I guess we gotta wait. Do the old waiting game before we fill it up. So what we'll do is we'll torque it down tomorrow, then fill her up, plug it up, and call it good. And hopefully it doesn't break down on us the first time we take it out. That'll most likely be the clutch issue. So we'll find out when we get it all back together, and probably gonna have to take it all back apart again. So just the way she goes. Of course, it's only at this point that I realized that I forgot 2 magnets to go back in there. So that was really smart of me. If I put it on the outside, then all I have to do to clean it out, just pull pull it off and then clean it, but of course then this would probably just attract more grime on the outside from the road. You know, there's plenty of iron sitting out on the road. I don't know where all that iron on the road comes from, but there seems to be a lot of it. Now, it hasn't quite been 24 hours, but close enough. You know, and that's what we're about on this project. Close enough. When you get almost done, you usually can't get the last drops in these bottles, so I just get the last drops in the new bottle. There we go. And rather than bothering to cut the new tip, just use the old tip. Holy smokes, has this ever taken the oil? I guess it had that big long front part to it, so. You know, they say the Chrysler, there it goes. You know, they say the Chrysler 8 1/4 is actually almost comparable to a Dana 44. I don't know if that's the case, but after looking in here, I can say that it definitely does look beefier than a Dana 35. Alright, now you can take the uncut tip do with that statement what you may, and place it on there, and then put the circumcised tip back over the cap, keep that with that, and there you go, nice and sealed up. Now we have a spare one. If you you can it looks like you can probably put these on like what do you call them, regular quart jugs for oil. So that would be pretty handy if you didn't have a funnel, just to cut these ones open and use these. Now we got the cap. I'm gonna give that a quick wipe out with a dirty rag. There. Now, I had a genius idea, because I forgot to put those magnets in. See? Failure leads to genius. Take an old glove, cut the finger off. These are heavy-duty Gorilla gloves, by the way. These are the best I've found. We take our finger, put the magnets in there, stretch it out, fold it over, and now we can place it on the outside just like that. And then we can call that a day. And when we want to take this off again, we can just take that off. Probably after we unbolt it, it'd be probably easier to keep the particles contained. But since this is on the outside, that glove will be able to help you get all the spare iron material off when you do take it off. Alright, that's the diff done.